Man, I've been working on this puzzle for the past 6 months. Maybe I should try to take a break and do something else, but what else is there to do?
Ah, the video game, my favorite form of violence-causing media. Over the years, I've collected quite a few games and started my own little mini collection, but it's taken me this long to realize that 9.4% of this collection is licensed garbage. I used to find these in yard sales and flea markets all the time, and hey, for a 7-year-old with $5 in his pocket, what could be better than finding Wally in someone's yard? In the early 2000s, these games were everywhere. So many companies wanted to cash in on movie hype and make a few bucks. It was the perfect plan. Take a popular movie, spank it onto a popular games console, and blam, mediocrity. A lot of these games just weren't that good. It was very clear that these games were made with the intent to just make a few bucks. I wonder how that worked out for him. Look, I found this copy of Over the Hedge for $3. And well, with a pile of games this large, there's only really one question to ask. Where to begin? Well, in times of crisis, I always resort to spinning a wheel. Okay, the first marketing ploy we'll be looking at is Open Season on PS2, from the developers at Rainbow Six Siege. Looking at the back of the box, the tag Play It Wild is displayed loud and proud, and I'd gladly give $20 to anybody who knows what that means. It advertises flatulence, a minecart, and 7 side-splitting minigames. You see, whenever I see minigames on the back of a licensed game, it just screams, we ran out of ideas. Manual's pretty standard, but it might be the only manual in existence to have boog controls in it. Alright, let's pop this sucker in and see what it has in store. This is Open Season on PS2.
I can't do this.
The adventure begins in a dream sequence as Boog, our protagonist, chases down a giant stuffed bear.
Sure.
I catch him in less than a minute and the game already gives me an option to turn back. I wonder if the ESRB had anything to do with that inclusion. Boog wakes up in a garage and has to pick up a bear. I just feel like I just did this. Open Season features a unique yes or no option, where instead of conveniently hitting the X or the circle button to say yes or no, you have to move the right stick up or down to nod your head. But I suppose it's all worth it for that sweet, sweet immersion.
This game makes you feel like Boog.
Hopping in the back of the Girl Scout truck begins our first vehicle section, and always be sure to test the suspension as you're going down the highway. We make it to town to see some form of torture being performed on Elliot. Yes, I know his name, I read the manual, I know the lore. It turns out he was hit by Shaw, one of the meanest hunters around. So mean, in fact, that he'd gladly take a $2,000 fine if it meant he get to keep a deer head around. Elliot wants me to free him and, fine. Shaw comes out to see that I've released his trophy, and oh boy, what a way to enter a room. I just start doing this every day. We get threatened and return home. Elliot stops by later that night with animal abuse, and I don't feel like letting him in, so I decided to watch the same animation play like 12 times. He barges in, insults my lifestyle, and recruits me to go commit a felony. Felony in question, of course, being robbery. Elliot wants me to steal woohoo bars from the store, and I'm fairly confident that I could speedrun this portion. Boog and Elliot are caught and are tossed into the wilderness and have to find their way home. Boog gives bedroom eyes to the camera and then proceeds to panic. A throwing mechanic is introduced to use throughout the campaign, where you throw Elliot in order to progress. Now, there aren't any specific spots where you have to throw Elliot, so I just spent most of the game doing this. Animal abuse ensues until we're stopped by the Squirrel Mafia. They throw Boog and Elliot off the cliff, blam, levels over, any questions. Boog lands on a porcupine and, well, I guess they stuck to the source material well. A family of skunks needs the help of Boog and Elliot, and of course, being the good Samaritans they are, agree to find their children and their food. After we help the family, all skunks become friendly. In other words, they become a projectile. Skunks are used as stink bombs to lure out the hunters from their cabins. These hunters, man, they don't run away. They're wiped from existence. Let me scratch that down on my bear survival guide. Also, Boog has this habit of performing acts of tree cosplay before attacking victims. Gotta say, you should definitely go pro. Boog then finds himself helping another group of animals, this time the Squirrel Mafia from earlier. They want him to drive in a minecart to the other side of a tunnel. I still don't know why they had us do this. And again, always remember to check the suspension of the vehicle. This is another one of the on-rails vehicle sections, similar to the truck ride at the beginning of the game, except this one has jumping. And boy, listen to that sound design. Moving on, we're blocked from progression by beavers. You see, when Boog arrives in the wild, he's not welcomed by the animals of the forest. By performing specific tasks for the hostile animals, Boog can earn their friendship. He can use them to stun or scare away hunters. I read this out of the manual. See, this game has very repetitive level design. You're blocked by an animal, kill hunters, progress past the animal, check the suspension, and move on. The back of the box may scream 25 hilarious levels, but they really just mean the same 4 on loop for about 3 hours. I think I understand how the rest of the campaign's gonna go, so let's take a look to see what those 7 side-splitting minigames have to offer. And before the UI tricks you, no, this is not a 4-player game. Keep that in mind so you don't have situations like this. Dang it! No! I'll be taking a look at each one and rating it based on my 3-point Boog minigame rating scale. First up, it's rabbits everywhere, and it's terrible. The goal is to throw rabbits into a burrow, but the aiming auto-locks into opponents, making the whole experience super frustrating. The next one up is Log Challenge. It's like Frogger, but competitive without any challenge or fun. Flowers for my deer. This one's fine. It's challenging enough and kind of interesting, though never come back to it. Still a 2 out of 3. Shake That Butt. Full points for fitting the source material. Duck Chorus is a button memorizing game, and that's all I have to say about it. Rise to the top. Hit the circle button at the right time to prolong this game's journey to the trash. Wild Memory. It's a memory matching game and not much more. Well, the only thing we have left to do now is finish the campaign. Well, the only thing we have to do now is look up the ending online. This is incredible. All in all, Open Season is the perfect representation of what these licensed games were. Just cheap cash grabs that had a campaign that followed the story of the movie, with some filler content here and there.